Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we are back at the world's biggest liquor store, that is Dave Co. Wine and Spirits in Thornton, Colorado. In 2006, the Guinness Book of Records notated this as the biggest liquor store in the world, coming in at a whopping 100,023 square feet. This place is massive. So today we're gonna go in, we're gonna see what whiskey single barrels they have. Is there gonna be anything worth purchasing for me? Probably not, because I bought every single barrel they probably have, but they just have so many. So today I want to share what they have with you folks at home. Run the video.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
So we are in the store right now, and as you can see, there's a bunch of single barrels located here on top of like whiskey barrels. So this is where the bulk of all the single barrels are going to be. But there's also a bunch located throughout the store in different areas. We also have like a Colorado only area, which has some really awesome single barrels. So let's start here and see what they have. So right alongside the single barrels, they do have this like really awesome rare Scotch, Japanese, and other whiskey, where they have a lot of high ticket items. Some really awesome Penderyn there as well, but I thought that was awesome just to take a little look at that. And not only do they do single barrels of whiskey, they also have a bunch of single barrels of like tequila, of mezcal too. So if you're a tequila fan or something, you want something a little different, then this is a good spot definitely to come for that stuff there. And then as you can see, just to the left there is where we start getting into the whiskey. So I have a rye from the get-go here from Bear Creek. Don't know too much about that one. Old Line Port, cask finish one. American single malt. I'm not the biggest fan of American single malt. Good ABV, good proof on that, and I do like port finishes. They also have 477, which is a distillery out of Greeley, Colorado. Some Clyde Mays there as well, a bunch of different ones. Some Rye 3. They also have this really interesting bottle. I picked up a bottle of these, and I've talked a little bit about it on the channel. So this is a Kentucky whiskey finished in an Indiana rye cask, coming in at 56.4% ABV or 112.8 proof. For $80. But can you see that? 18-year. This is an 18-year-old Kentucky whiskey. I'm wondering what that could be. Maybe like a corn whiskey, a light whiskey, but an 18-year barrel product. Yes, it's not bourbon, it's Kentucky whiskey for $80. So I bought one of those. I haven't cracked it yet. I really want to crack it because I'm really excited to get into that and see what's that all about. Moving on, and you see Yellowstone. These were really popular about a year ago, but I think a lot of people have just bought some, and it's kind of slowing down a bit now. But $70, maybe that's why it's gone up a little bit in price. They also have a rum single barrel there as well. I can take or leave rum. I do like the Caribbean rums personally. Few, this is another single barrel, don't know too much about that. Fireside, which is a local distillery here in Colorado. 5 years old, 62.5% ABV. For $54. As you can see, they have a good amount of this stuff. If you're in this area and you don't live in Colorado, it might be worth taking a stab of some of these stuff, these local ones. And a local one that's maybe more popular with people is the Boulder Spirits. So out of Boulder, Colorado. A lot of people know about these throughout the US. They've been making pretty good waves, especially the bourbon. This is the single malt, but they do have like hazmat bourbons that I've seen before, and they're very tasty. They do a lot of like free tastings at festivals, so that's a good spot to pick up on. Again, some tequila there as well. And then Rabbit Hole. You don't see these bottles very often. I think this is maybe one of the only picks we have here in Colorado of this, because I haven't seen it. So this is the High Gold Single Barrel Cask Strength. And as you can see, a lot of different labels on these bottles, but they are all the same. Limited edition Artists Series. Cask Strength, Kentucky Straight Bourbon. 111.4 proof or 55.7% ABV. 168 bottles. Bottled in 2023. Does it say the age? Yeah, there you go. 4 years and 5 months, 55.7% ABV. Haven't had much Rabbit Hole, but I know some people do like them. And if you're a collectible, these are pretty cool looking bottles. That might be the one for you. As you can see, they have a good amount of it. Moving on to some MGP stuff. The Senator barrel proof, $75. I think this is a really, really solid price for this. 6-year MGP, 54% give or take. A lot of people do like to collect these. I think they have like the representative and a couple of other different variations of this kind of name. Popular single barrels that we see in Colorado. Old Scout for $50. Haven't had this, but I know people do like it. 5-year age statement on that one. And then we also have a Old Elk in Fort Collins, Colorado for $75. Wheat whiskey. So Dave Co. Wine and Spirits, 56.15%. What is the age on this? Aged 6 years. 6-year-old wheat whiskey. I would prefer if I was a wheated bourbon. I do like wheated bourbons a little bit more than that. But wheat whiskey is pretty solid as it is. Moving on to one of the fun single barrel picks here, and that is the Knob Creek single barrel, $53, priced very, very well. 120 proof or 60% ABV. This is 10 years and 3 months old from Warehouse L, floor 2, Rickhouse 15. So a 10-year-old Knob Creek from Jim Beam for $53. That's a bargain. I'm surprised they still have so much of that because that's a really, really good pick. And then a pick that I'm not a big fan of, not of this pick personally, but I think that the prices on the Angels Envy's picks are a little pricey. And then that's actually a pretty good price because oftentimes you'll see it for over $100. You're better off just getting the straight bourbon whiskey that's finished on port. Moving on, and we have Lowe's out of Denver, Colorado. This is their straight rye. Lowe's do some really great stuff. I've had some really good picks from these folks. So another one, if you're looking for a really good local distillery, don't skip on these guys. Then just come in around the front here. You can see they have some of these Wyoming whiskey picks. 9745 is the batch. This isn't quite 60% ABV, it is 59.5. They do some really good picks. They can be a little touch and go sometimes, but for the vast majority of them are very, very solid. And then they also have these older High West picks, $65. It's actually quite cheap because I've seen these recently at Total Wine for like $85. That's a really good price. And I have these two in my cart right now, just so we can take a closer look. So these are their straight rye whiskeys. First off, we have this Barrel Manhattan, which is an 11-month one old. And then secondly, we have this cognac one, which is quite a long finish. You don't see finishes like this that often. This is 1 year and 3 months. And this one is also 52.9% ABV, which is quite high. And I've had both of these picks, and this specific one is really good because that extra ABV really helps cut through some of the sweetness of the cognacs. Let's put these back. It looks like they also have this Four Roses pick, which I think must be very new. It is OESO, aged 9 years and 6 months. It is tier 5, 59.8% ABV. You can tell it's tier 5 because it's the second number there. So it's 39-5, and that second number, wherever that is the tier that it represents. $90 isn't too bad at all. I'm definitely going to scoop one, have it in the basket. So coming down the other side here, we have so much more to look at. We have the Keeper's Heart. This is a single barrel Irish, finished in maple syrup barrels. That's a really interesting one. And if you want to take a dabble at it, it's only $50. Haven't tried it. Sounds super interesting. Westwood is a brand that a lot of YouTubers talk quite a lot about. Don't know too much about it myself. It is a $100 bottle for like a cask strength single barrel, so you get a little value, but probably not the best bottle for me to jump in on to that brand. Whistle Pig single barrel for $60. If you like Whistle Pig rye, I think that's a really, really great price for that. Moving on, Oak and Eden. I think they used to do like these finishes where they put like spirals in the bottom. I think there, you can see it right there. That spiral just dropping down. I wonder if that stays in there really long, it'll be over oaked. About $55, $56. That might be a pretty good gift for a friend who doesn't drink maybe that much whiskey. This is a French oak, medium, infusion of orange liqueur and cognac, so maybe an interesting one. I have to keep an eye out for that guy. Leopold Bros, which is another Denver whiskey here. That's a good price for Leopold Bros. Oftentimes you'll see these going over like $200. Yes, this is a single barrel aged for 4 years, so that's a little bit more in line, but they can get expensive. Some Old Lion, the sherry cask finish and port finish. And again, some more rye 3. This is a cask strength rum finish for $75. Nearly 60% ABV. This was selected by 5280 Whiskey, which is a whiskey society here in Denver. They do a lot of good things for charity, and they work with Dave Cole a lot on their picks. We have Rossville Union, a cask strength. Don't know too much about that one. And then this Breckenridge Reserve Blend. So this store always has Breckenridge blends here, the single barrel blends. $36. Really good value for money on that guy. Some more rye 3 here. And our first single malt Scotch whiskey cask strength. So this is an 11-year Scotch for $70, distilled in 2010. Product of Scotland, non-chill filtered, no added colour. 11 years in oak casks. So if you like your Scotch and you want to get something a little different, that could be a good one. And then we have mash bill out of Avada, Colorado. And this is really interesting because you can kind of build your own blends whilst you're there. Apparently the single barrel experience is really fun. You don't have to have a full barrel. You can have like a quarter barrel and kind of blend a lot of that stuff yourself whilst you're down there from different barrels. Garrison Brothers. You're going to pay a pretty penny for this, but as anybody knows this stuff, it is quite expensive. Not quite hazmat, but definitely getting up there in ABV, 66.7%. Single barrel cask strength. You don't see many of these around the place. I wonder how that drinks. Some Nulu, not my favorite, but a lot of people do drink them around the US. 1 year finish on this one, if $90. This is the double oaked, 1 year for the double oaked, which is quite long. Normally you see them about 6 to 9 months. $90 is right in line. Now another pick that I've had is the Balcones Texas Rye. Really, really awesome Texas Rye. If you like the rye spices and you kind of like pot still spices and that Texas sweet whiskey, this is a really good pick and you're not paying too much. It's only $50 and they have a bunch of it here. And they also have another Texas Balcones single malt. I'm not the biggest fan of the single malt, me personally. I haven't had many, if any, from Texas. I just feel that single malt can come across a little grainy and a little corny for me. Some Jefferson's Ocean, a Cabernet cask finish for $73. And then MGP's own in-house brand, George Remus. This is straight bourbon whiskey, coming in at 57.81% ABV. This is the 2021 selection. They do get these every year. I think I've had this one of the 2021. If you like cask strength whiskey, you want something like this, similar to Stag in terms of big cinnamon bacon spice flavors, that has it. And for $60, and again, working with the 5280 Whiskey Society, that's a good pick. Another Irish whiskey for $50, 6 year. Oh, that's not Irish whiskey, I don't know what that's doing there. That's the Dubliner, 6-year-old bourbon cask matured. $50. Some Rossville here, and some single barrel by Molly Brand. So if you want something that's 100% Colorado, you want to get this, because grain to glass, as they say on the front end, is all from Colorado. Most places get their grain and barley and other things from different parts of the US, but these are grain to glass, 100% Colorado. Another Law's bourbon. The other one was a rye. This is the 4-gram bourbon. That's a good pick. And then Woody Creek Distillers here, wheated straight whiskey. It's $56. As you can see, they have a ton of single barrels here. They have some more as well. And then they also have this Cooper, kind of like rare and limited bourbon American whiskey selection. Some 15, some 16 Calumet Farms, some Wyoming, a bunch of Bardstown. And then some other stuff there as well, up at the top. Let's go and find some of those other single barrel local picks here. So we have a bunch more single barrels here. Some of the same stuff, but there's definitely some different things here too. Straight jumping off the shelf here is this Hirsch, $100, Kentucky straight double oaked whiskey, 64.15% ABV or 128.3 proof. And then you can see the different mash bills and age on the back there. I haven't tried a lot of Hirsch stuff, but I know there was a time where they used to source from Willet, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding that. Moving on here, there's a couple more we haven't seen, and these are these 291s. So 291s are Colorado Springs here in Colorado. Looks like they have a couple of different proofs and ABVs. Prices are all $100. If you want to try a couple of different ones from this distillery, this might be a good place to start. Some more of the Rabbit Hole, and another one we haven't seen. So this is Good Times Bourbon. This is finished in pineapple brandy and coconut rum casks. Sounds very fruity, very summertime. Cask strength or barrel strength bourbon. There are plenty of websites and Facebook groups that talk a lot about Good Times. They do a lot of picks there. I've had a few, they're pretty good. And especially I've had this one as well, and this is really tasty. If you want like a summer old fashioned, then that's your guy there. They have a few more different single barrels here. Like I said, with this store, you kind of have to have a good look around because they kind of leave stuff in different areas. It's kind of like a little bit of a treasure hunt in a way. So this is a single barrel pick. Again, working with 5280 here from Hidden Barn. $80, that's right in line with a lot of Hidden Barn stuff, as you can see that. These two, I believe, are not single barrels, but this one is. I haven't tried this single barrel, but I've had some of the old batches. Wasn't necessarily a big fan of that, but that was just my own palate here personally. I don't think there's many other single barrels here that I was able to find. Maybe some super interesting barrel products here. And again, they have that other one that we talked a little bit about. The 2024 New Year one, I think that's brand new actually, that bottle right there. They look like they don't have any dust on it. That's a really interesting bottle, but not a single barrel. Going through a few more here. Yeah, doesn't look like it. Let's see if we can find some more in the last place to look here. All right, folks, this is an area I was definitely looking for. I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of these old ale picks that they have here. So they have a 10-year wheated bourbon. It's not a wheated bourbon. This one isn't. I think that's just a mislabel. This is actually a wheated whiskey. Still good. I prefer the wheated bourbons myself personally. And they have another old elk straight wheat whiskey single barrel. This is 7 years old. This one's 10. You can see that's reflected in the price. Then they also have, and where is it here? This guy. So this is their 8-year wheated bourbon. This is the one I will go for, and this is one that I have. I bought it recently. Aged 8 years. 50% ABV or 100 proof. It's a little pricey for $100. You might want to get this guy instead, the double wheat, which is very good. But if you're looking for something a little bit more unique, definitely get the wheated bourbon. You won't go wrong with the other 8-year wheat whiskey or a 10-year wheat whiskey too. I was able to find some more of the High West. So there's two different barrels. Well, the cognac was 65, but actually the Manhattan was 60. And also as well, not a single barrel, but really interesting that they see have so much. Redwood Empire Grizzly Beast. This is the bottled and bond one. This is from spring of 2019, so it's the 2023 release. Looks like they have a bunch of this in stock here. And then lastly, as we kind of move through, you can still see that they have some more of the Rabbit Hole as well. Some more of the Jefferson's Oceans there as well. I think we're pretty much done. As you can see, we come around here. I can just show you a lot of the aisles where they have a lot of the whiskey. Just here, I'll take a little look down the right, and this is where they have a whole ton. All that aisle, all the way down to the bottles full of whiskey. They have some more over here as well. Looks like they put in the Booker's out these days, which is $100. That's not bad. The new Baker 7, that's pretty good as well. But no single barrels over here. Sometimes, which is why I wanted to come over here. They have Jack Daniel's single barrels here, but they don't have it. They sold out. That's a great price, $60. All right then, folks, and we are just about done here. We must have looked over about 50 different single barrels. They have so many here. If you come here, get ready to spend some money. And if you come here just trying to pick up a regular bottle of Old Elk or something similar like a Boulder Spirits, then maybe try out some of the single barrels. They have probably a little more than you were able to see. And as you can see, this place is massive. So definitely take some time out of your day, probably like an hour or two, to go through all the whiskey that they have here. So as we say on this channel, thank you for joining us as we drink through the world's whiskeys, one glass at a time. My name is Patrick. Cheers.